Hey, it's Tyler, crazyaboutcompost.com, and today I wanted to review a number of different brown materials or cover materials. Which ones are good, which ones aren't, and what I would recommend you do with each of these different types. So let's start with cardboard. So corrugated cardboard, this stuff's totally fine for compost. If you're going to add it, which I don't necessarily recommend if you have a recycling program where you're at, rip it up first. Definitely don't add in whole pieces of cardboard. There's no point for that. It's just going to mat down the contents of the pile and make it harder for air to circulate. However, it is good for worms. They like it. If you're doing worm composting, you definitely want to use this stuff. They like to go in the little tubes, and when you get it damp, it's a good environment for them. But again, if you have a recycling program available where you're at, then definitely put it out for recycling, because cardboard actually does have some value compared to a lot of other recyclable materials out there these days. So I definitely recommend that this goes out that way. Same thing with paper. A sheet of paper like this is ideal for recycling. However, it doesn't really make much sense to put it in the compost pile. However, if it's in the ripped up form, like if you shred certain papers and stuff, definitely add that to your compost. It's not an amazing ingredient. It's going to stick around for a little while, but at the end of the day it will break down, and it will not make it through a recycling center's process. It's too small. It'll go right through the screens. So this is actually your best use for your shredded paper. And of course, the only thing is make sure you aren't shredding up envelopes that have the plastic windows on them, because you don't want to be picking out your plastic later. It's a pain in the butt. Moving on to the newsprint. I have two different ones here. This stuff gets thrown on my porch once a week. I don't really use it for anything. I just put it out for recycling. If I was going to use it, I would look for the stuff that's not glossy. It might be difficult to tell. This stuff is really dull, so this piece I would be good with, but this one you might be able to tell it's got a little bit of a sheen to it. And who knows, maybe that coating's not bad, but I'm not going to bother with it, especially when it's totally fine for recycling. Okay, moving on to the soiled paper product. So when it comes to napkins, paper towels, tissues, this stuff is all paper products that are on its last life. If you put this in your recycling, it's going to be considered contamination. It can't really get recycled again. Paper can get recycled 5 to 7 times roughly, and this is paper representing its last use. Hopefully, assuming you're buying recycled content paper products. Either way, whatever. This stuff is totally fine for compost. It's not really appealing, but again, it's sustainable because there's no point in throwing this in the landfill when you can add its minimal nutrients to your compost pile. And just make sure that the stuff you're adding is has food content, but I wouldn't add something that had cleaning chemicals on it, for example. And that leaves us with the number one, and that's leaves. If there's anything here out of all these different items, you want leaves. If you have leaves available, then use leaves. If you don't have leaves available, find someone who does. Make the trip. Make the once-a-year trip and get a couple bags worth, shred them. They'll last you all year. That's what I do. I turn about 10 bags of leaves into 1 full trash can's worth. I shred them up, and that lasts me for an entire year. And I have the best cover material there is. This stuff is just solid. You use it for your first 12 inches of material when you're starting a brand new pile, and it's also great for your cover material. This is exclusively what I use for that purpose. I would never have paper towels or shredded paper or really any of this other stuff on the outskirts of my pile. I would rather use leaves for that purpose. They smell great, they're biologically active, they're full of trace minerals and nutrients, which is going to get gobbled up when this stuff becomes compost later anyway. And again, if you can shred the stuff up, make sure you do that, because it's increasing the surface area and it's going to really accelerate the productivity of the compost pile and give you better results quicker. So I hope this made sense. If not, ask me some questions, leave me some feedback, hit the like button. If you go to crazyaboutcompost.com, you can see that I have a free course you can sign up for how to learn composting in 7 days. I have a book available if you want more details, or you can just shoot me an email and I'll answer your questions or leave a comment here. So I hope this was helpful, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned.